how much does pest control actually cost? Most people have no idea what it costs until they have this infestation, and then they're willing to pay just about anything. So by the time you have a pest problem, the bugs decide for you that you're going to pay, and then you just sign up. Today we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to talk about what it actually costs and what you actually need so that you can be prepared before the infestation comes. Some of the things that affect the price of pest control is the type of pest, how big your square footage is, whether you're treating the whole yard or just the house, or whether you're treating the inside. Also, whether you're doing a one-time or an ongoing maintenance. All of these things go into what you should expect to pay and to make sure you get a good value. So when it comes down to pest control, you're paying for the overhead, you're paying for the marketing, and you're paying for a technician to actually do the work. And so by overhead, that's the thing it takes for a business to stay in business. It's keeping the lights on, it's the internet, it's the truck, it's the insurance, it's taxes, it's software, it's management. It's all those things for the business to be a business and to survive so that they're there when you need them. You have to pay it. You might not think about it. You might think, oh, I pay for a technician to show up. Why am I paying so much? Realistically, that technician is going to get about 1/4 of what you pay. And in the real world, most technicians make about the same amount of money as a high school graduate. The other piece is marketing. That's a big piece of what you pay for with pest control, especially if you have some guy knock on your door. He's probably making more money than you are. Especially if he's really good at his job. And a lot of people sign up because they like the salesperson, and then they get a different technician every time. And they're like, well, I like the sales guy, but I don't like the technician. Or I like some of them, but not all of them. So that's kind of what you're paying for, is a business to stay in business, a technician to show up, and then a company to have a salesperson, sales and marketing. 23 years ago, I started selling pest control door to door, and I felt like it was great because I get to help people. I don't know why, but I was good at it. Probably just because I was trying to help people, and I wanted to help people get a great service. And one thing I realized is that most of what they were paying for was the sales commissions. Back then, I was getting paid about 50% of the contract. Nowadays, if someone's going door to door, it's usually closer to 100%. Somewhere between around maybe 65 on the low end to 110%. So what you pay the first year, about 100% goes to the salesman and the sales team, and the company doesn't have any money left over. That's why they always lock you into at least a 1-year contract. And even then, when your contract's done, they hope you're going to keep it because they still haven't made any money. So I realized that that's what it was. And I thought, you know what? I just want to provide a service that I would want to pay for. And I want to take care of the technician so they can take care of the customer. So instead of spending a whole bunch of money paying the salespeople a lot of money and no money left over to take care of the technician and the customer, I thought, let's hire better technicians. Let's take better care of customers so they stick around for longer. Let's pay more money to the technician. And a lot of that money comes from not paying for a sales team. So that's why for a similar price, things are just moved around and a customer pays maybe a little more, maybe a little less than different companies, but the money goes less to marketing and definitely less to door-to-door salespeople and more to the technician, because again, you're paying for a company to stay in business, marketing, and for a technician to do the work. I want more of your money to go to your technician. So even if you pay local bug guy a little more money, but a lot more of it goes to a better technician and you get the same guy every time, you get a lot better value. So that's kind of the journey of local bug guy. Most companies lose money for 2 or 3 years. So do we. But the company that has takes better care of the technician so they can take better care of the customer makes you want to stay around, not because you have to, but because you want to. So that's why it works. When I started doing door-to-door in 2003, the prices we were charging was about $60 every 2 months. It was about $360 a year. The companies that were doing quarterly, they were doing about $75 a quarter, about $300 a year. So most companies were within about $300 to $400 a year. Nowadays, sometimes you can find a company willing to do it for less than $400 a year. Don't know how they do it. Most companies are going to be $500 to $800 a year. I would say that's the majority. Some are less than $500. Some are way more than $1,000 a year. I've heard of some charging well over $1,400 for just a basic package. But that's kind of the general range you would expect to pay is realistically somewhere between about $500 to $1,000, and some a little less, some a lot more. That's in 2026. So that's kind of the range of what it might cost for a general plan for the most important, most regular bugs is somewhere between about 500 to 1,000. Occasionally even less, occasionally even more. If I were to narrow it down, it's maybe between about $600 to $800 a year for ants, spiders, wasps, if you do a regular general maintenance. That's the general range if you're doing a quarterly service. And if you're doing a bi-monthly service, expect to pay less per service, but more per year. If you're looking to do a one-time service, generally it's going to be about the cost of 2 services. You pay for one service. So, instead of like $150 for every 3 months, it'll be somewhere around $300 for one service. Or in other words, for about half of the year of pest control, you get one service. Some companies will give you a discount if you pay the year up front, maybe about 10% or something like that. What we started doing recently is instead of making you pay up front for the 3-month service, you just pay monthly. So it makes it more affordable so more people can fit it into their budget. It's just a lot easier to budget $50 or $60 a month instead of $100 or $200 every 3 months. And if it's on the same day of the month versus give or take a week or two. The interesting thing is if you're going off price, it is true to a certain extent that you get what you pay for. If somebody is really inexpensive, they might just be really good and they just might not be making any money. And they might be okay with that, at least for a couple years. You might get lucky. But typically, if something's quite a bit less expensive, you should be cautious and make sure that they're not cutting corners somewhere, or really maybe they just might not be able to stay in business and they don't have the confidence to raise their prices even though they should. If somebody is much, much more expensive, it could be that they're actually slowing down and doing an extra good job. Very likely that they could also just be really good at marketing. And in my opinion, a lot of the times the better a pest control company is at marketing, the worse they are at servicing. So if somebody charges a lot more, sometimes it's a good sign. Sometimes it's a sign that they're actually not that good at servicing and they're just really good at telling their story, but not executing and following through. So if you're looking at getting pest control and you're nervous about being charged too much or not charged enough and getting a crappy service, I can tell you that there's a lot of good companies out there. Local Bug Guy specifically, we no longer lock you into a contract. We no longer make you even pay up front for that first service. You just pay monthly. So if you hire us, it's super easy. But more important than that, give us a call. We'll look at your situation. If we're not the best fit, we will tell you not to hire us. If we are the best fit, we'll let you know what it costs, what you get for it, so you can decide for yourself if it's a win-win or not.